President of the Public Engagement Group of PLDT and SMART.
Thank you, Kat. Magandang umaga po sa kanilang lahat. Welcome to our friends, our partners from Ericsson, DepEd, Muntinlupa, Qualcomm as well. Maraming salamat po. And of course to our friends from the education sector, Happy Teachers Month. As Arda said, we're here to talk about teaching technology in teaching, and we have to remind ourselves that the operative word is still teaching. We can let go of technology, and we can see the plight of our teachers in the rural areas, and you don't even have to look far. And even without technology, at the end of the day, we celebrate their heroism, and we celebrate their perseverance, that against all odds and limited resources, they try their best. We saw that during the pandemic, which was really an instigator for all of us to help and to do our part. But we saw teachers, and certainly us in the telco business, in PLDT and SMART, tagus sa puso yun, looking at teachers going all the way up to their rooftops just so they can get a better signal, or walking for kilometers just so they can have access to data, and they can download the curriculums, or even just get instructions from the Department of Education. So we celebrate our teachers first and foremost. But as Ellen also pointed out, technology is there precisely to also bring the mountain to Muhammad. Where it is not possible, technology makes it possible. This brings me back all the way to, I'm embarrassed to say, when I was in grade school, my first experience with high tech. I remember we were playing, huwag niyo na lang kalkulahin, but we were playing basketball. It was during recess, and I remember a classmate of mine running to the basketball court with a drawing in one hand. And then sinabi niya, "Look!" Diba? Ni-English ko na lang, di naman kami English nun. But sabi niya, "Look!" Then he had a drawing in one hand, and then a copy of his drawing on the other hand. And sabi namin, "What sorcery is this?" Sabi niya, "Punta kayo sa library." So takbo kami sa library. We all ran to the library, which is a sentence you will hardly ever hear. And we all ran to the library, and by the time I got there, the line was probably about 200 students. 200 students long. And by the time I was in line and I had figured out what this line was about, I had to run all the way back to my classroom, get a pad paper and a pencil, and then run back to the line and draw anything that I wanted. Some people were just writing their names. Some people were drawing. The better artists in the group were drawing really fantastic stuff of cars and spaceships and so on. All for the wonder of photocopy machines. For the first time. And like I said, you'll excuse me and you'll oblige me by not calculating my age. But that was my first encounter with high technology. And in the coming days, the lines would remain very, very long. No longer 300, but reliably there will be about 50 students from grade 1 to grade 6 outside the library at any point in our free times, whether recess or lunch. And they would line up just for the sake of, with no real use case other than to use it, to photocopy a drawing, to photocopy a picture, and so on. And that was my first realization that technology is something that can trick students into going to the library. It is something that can trick us to get excited about school. Later on, the school had to cut down on all the wasted paper. Because when you got to the line, you would say, can you make 20 copies of my drawing? Can you make 40 copies of my picture with my mom? And so on. Eventually, they couldn't do it, and we had to wind down. And then after the fanfare had worn off, you realize that a few days later you would get quizzes photocopied by the teachers. You would have exercises from books that we had never seen, now suddenly adding to our work in school. And we were like, hassle naman to. But we realized that it brings us back to our point this day, that technology, on the one hand, was a hook for our kids. It is something. Technology always gets us excited about learning. It breathes new life. Every time I visit, and we visit the schools where Smart PLDT have our school in a bag or our suite programs, every time we visit any school where it's our privilege to bring not even the latest, but technology, where we bring connectivity, we find again and again, and teachers report to us again and again, that even before the KPIs on results, even before the KPIs on grades, the number one indicator that shows that this is making a difference is just the enthusiasm of students. But that's the first lesson. The second lesson, however, of course, is that technology is not even about the students first and foremost. It is about the teachers. It is about empowering them. It is about, as we said, allowing them to reach to more of our kids and allowing them to magnify everything that they can do. Technology has always empowered. From the time that paper was invented, to the time that books became mass-produced, and to the time that photocopying machines allowed us to bring books that we don't have, and all the way to the time that finally we have computers in rooms and we realize what use are computers without connectivity. Now that we have connectivity, what use would that be if we cannot bring the kind of technology that brings speed and that brings instantaneousness? And ultimately, it is about connectivity in real time as well. And those are the things that allow us to celebrate and to really appreciate our partnership with DepEd, Muntinlupa, with Ericsson, with Qualcomm, and all the partners we've been privileged to have. Dito, what we contribute smart LTE pocket Wi-Fi's. It was never enough before. We knew when we started bringing pocket Wi-Fi's, and then LTE happened, it has to be LTE, pocket Wi-Fi's. And all of this to bridge the digital divide, one classroom at a time. This initiative also supports Secretary Sani Angara's agenda of strengthening teachers as the foundation of quality education. We've spoken already, but never enough, about the heroism of our teachers. They are agile, adaptable, and ready to embrace new ways of teaching. That is exactly what this VR training provides, an innovative, practical, and effective way not only to upskill educators for the 21st century, but to bring the world to the classroom, to empower the teachers. To our partners at Ericsson and DepEd Muntinlupa, maraming salamat po ulit for your trust and collaboration. And together, let us continue empowering our teachers. Through them, we empower our children. And when no teacher is left behind, no student is left behind. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay po.